spring has sprung, and here I am underneath my plum tree. As you can see, it's in bloom, and it's time for an emergency review because I figured it's spring. It's really spring now. I've got the mic to my face because I don't want to pick up all the background noise, which you can probably hear already anyway. And I thought I'd put together like 12 fragrances for spring. 12 fragrances for spring that are split up into two. Split up into two because I don't want to disappoint anybody. I want to take care of everybody here. 6 cheapies, so 6 designers and cheapies, and 6 expensive and niche. So 6 and 6, I think that's cool. 12. The 12 seasons of spring. No, the 12 something. And of course, spring has sprung, like I said, which here in Melbourne means it's allergy season. This isn't probably the best location for me to be in. I don't know, I don't really have allergies, but I'll take drugs any chance I get. I've got my Surge. Ah, yes, good. And so we're going to begin. I've got my bag of goodies here as well. Got a bag of goodies. Let's see, what do we start with? Let's start with a good old favorite of mine, which is a cheapie. This is by Oscar de la Renta. This one is called Gentleman. It's a beautiful scent. Didn't really get hyped when it got released, even though it was a cheapie, and it was a really good cheapie. It's got notes of like champagne. It's got like a little bit of a fizzy quality to it. This dry, dusty cardamom, oolong tea, and some vetiver to sort of rest it on. Really like it, I think, and I really like this bottle as well. As gimmicky as it looks, you know, it's pretty nice. So I think that this is a really good one for spring. I believe it's been discontinued now, so the prices are going to start creeping up, but I'm pretty sure you can still find these going for like $20, $30, whatever it was. The price I got this for was about $25, I think, for a 50 ml, but now I'm seeing them double that price. And if they don't get hyped up by some bigger channels, then you might get the chance to actually get one of these at a reasonable price. But if they do get hyped up by some channels as some discontinued gems, bring them back kind of thing, you'll be paying well over $100 a bottle for these. So get on it quickly. And that's the first one. Okay, the next one that I have in my bag of goodies is Clinique's Happy for Men. This is a staple. I mean, it's been a staple for a while. It came out in 1999, and I think it's still going strong. You can still find it everywhere. Mandarin orange, lime, vetiver, and some jasmine in the middle as well. Some C notes to give it a bit of an aquatic kick as well. But really, all you can really smell is like the stems of the mandarin tree or something like that. And I think it's really great. I think I like it a lot, and it really does make me happy. It really suits springtime as well, especially like a nice sort of sunny sort of spring day. Don't expect too much performance from this. It's never been that great. It is a bit chemically if you're not so discerning, but you know, it is what it is. I think this has gone up in price as well. This used to be a cheap one too, but then again, everything has gone up in price recently. So there you have it. Clinique Happy for Men. I did a movie about this one. It was really good. You should check that out on my channel. More coffee. This next one I've really rarely ever talked about, and I don't know why, because it's actually quite unique, and it's not something that you would smell on anybody, anywhere, at any time. It is Habanita by Molinard. Now, this is not the original one that came out in 1921. This came out much later. I think this came out in 2012. And it is different from the original one. The original one was an eau de toilette. This is not a parfum. I think this one is more male-leaning than the original one, which is more feminine-leaning. This has a very unique note of mastic resin or mastic gum, which really gives it this difference, this real point of difference, as a matter of fact. Lasts forever. You could wear this in autumn as well, but I think it's a really nice springtime scent, especially like in a cooler sort of spring afternoon. Fantastic. It is a bit more feminine leaning than your traditional masculine scents, but trust me, it's fantastic quality as well, and it's actually always around at a decent price. So I don't hear many of the bigger channels hyping this up, and you're lucky because they're not doing that, because I don't know, maybe they've just not smelt it. I don't know. Word of warning: the mastic, which is a point of difference, is also a warning of do not blind buy. Do not blind buy if your budget does not allow you to make mistakes. That's all I'm saying. But this is a fantastic scent. Habanita Molinard Eau de Parfum. Now this next one is another classic from the 90s, 1996. As a matter of fact, the last scent that was released when Gianni Versace was still alive. This is the Dreamer. I had a look at this and I thought I'd look up the notes. And the notes said things like Artemisia, tarragon, and all this other stuff that I was not familiar with. And I thought, wait a second, this was a lavender scent. This was a lavender and tobacco scent. And now it's a floral? I don't understand it. So it looks like this was reformulated in the 2010s. I don't know exactly the year. I think it was 2010 or maybe 2012. And the packaging, I think, slightly changed as well. The box, and I don't have the box of this one. This bottle is from 2009, so it's still an original smell. It's not the original formulation, but it's the original smell. I did have a bottle of this and went through a full bottle of this in the late 90s, and it smells exactly like that. I'd say it smells better than the original formulation, which I thought it was a bit too pungent with that spicy aromatic sort of lavender at the beginning. This has it toned down a little bit, but then it ends up in the same space, in the same place. Beautiful scent for spring. Still available, very cheap, but I'm unsure as to whether or not the new formulation from 2010 onwards smells like this. I don't know. I don't think so. From the notes anyway, there's two sort of listings for it on Fragrantica, and the notes are very, very different. Let's just say that. Tobacco is not the same as, like, wet tobacco leaves, which I smell in this one in the dry down, is not the same as tobacco blossom. Yeah. It is what it is, but it is cheap enough for you to try and make a mistake if you want to, or even go to your local stockist, which they are readily available at, and have a test of it. I actually had to spray this on a tester strip so that I could remember or actually had to confirm whether or not I was going crazy, because I do not smell tarragon in here at all. Or juniper. Everyone's saying that it's got this huge blast of juniper at the top. That ain't juniper, that's spicy lavender, and that's what that is. Yeah, so that's the mystery. It was reformulated, and now there's juniper at the top, and there's artemisia to give it sort of some anisic qualities, and some tarragon to make it spicy, or to make it herbaceous. But yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Now this one is Yves Saint Laurent YSL's L'Homme. That's what it is. It's always in my spring rotation. Always, always, always. Absolutely love this scent. I wish I had an original formulation. Apparently it was way more spicy than what it is now. This'll do. This'll do for now. It's good. I love the ginger in here. I love the bergamot as well. And the way it rests on the tonka bean and the spices and the ginger, which is still in the background. It's sweet, but not cloyingly sweet. So it's fantastic for me. And it's beautiful for when the sun comes out on a spring day, and it's good off skin. As your skin sort of heats up, it works really well with that. Yeah, designer and cheapie are probably cheaper than niche. Let's just say that. Okay, Yves Saint Laurent L'Homme. Ooh, I said it correctly. Another perennial sort of favorite of mine during springtime, and this is bottle number 2 for me for this one. This is Anucci pour homme. Anucci by Anucci pour homme. This came out, like, I think well in the 80s or something like that. And not much is said about this fragrance. I think I've seen it a few times pop up on other channels, but I absolutely adore this scent. This is one of the best male floral fragrances for springtime. Some people say that it's a bit feminine, but it's not. Jasmine. If you're not familiar, or if you're not comfortable with smelling like jasmine and chamomile with some citruses and some musk actually in the base. So there's nothing deep, dirty, woody. There's nothing at all. It's just it's not even crisp. It's warm. It's warm and floral. And it lasts forever, and it projects like a beast. So this is a beast mode fragrance, as a matter of fact. And this used to be around 30 bucks a bottle. I think I've seen it for like 50 or 60 now. So it just may be inflation doing its thing, but it's still very, very good value. This is a bottle that is shaped like 2 golf balls on top of each other. It does not smell like grass, if you were wondering. There's no sort of grassiness to it. It's just floral. There you go. That's the 6th of the designer ones, of the cheap designer ones, and then we'll move on now to the niche and expensive. But before we do, All right, let's kick off with the first one in the niche and expensive list of 6. So we've done 6. This is number 7 technically. This is Andres Croxatto Man. Croxatto Man. It's a YouTube fragrance. Yes, I know it's a YouTuber fragrance. Andres, the perfume man. Andres, the perfume man, right? That's his channel. He's a Spanish-speaking channel, and he has got like millions of subscribers. Huge channel. Huge channel. His videos are impeccable, by the way. Even though I don't understand a single word, it looks great. The lighting, everything is great. And so he put out a fragrance, as YouTube influencers do, as YouTube fragrance review influencers do. And this is it. It's called Andres Croxatto Man. And the design on the front of the bottle apparently is done by his daughter, which I champion and welcome fathers, involving their daughters in certain things. I have 2 daughters as well. And, my eldest, my youngest has been in a video with me in this garden as well. And we've got a video together on my channel. And my eldest, she did the illustrations for that book that I made about Roja Dove's Enigma Parfum, which I did. You should also check that out. It was well worth it. And we have a book now of Roja Dove. A very weird story. But anyway, back to the fragrance itself. This starts off with bergamot and grass, like green grass, actually. If you look, and it says gin. And there's a little bit of gin in here, but like I say, it's a non-alcoholic gin. Okay, so that kind of means it's like a lemonade and juniper kind of mix with a little bit of lime in there as well. But I think that if you look in Fragrantica, which I'm doing now, and look in the This Perfume Reminds Me section, and you can see that it says that it reminds people of Green Irish Tweed, Platinum Egoist, Aventus, Egoist. That's the top 4. Those 4 smell nothing like each other, first of all. So that's the first sort of thing that sort of made me furrow my brow. The other one was that this smells nothing like any of those. So I'm going to give you the lowdown because that is absolutely and positively incorrect. Not even close, as a matter of fact. This, if you've ever smelled Sean John's 3 a.m., which I'm a big fan of for summer as a huge, great summer cheapie, it smells like a more mature and more niche version of that. However, the performance on both of those, well, the performance on that one, on Sean John, is really poor, okay? And that's fine. It's a $20 bottle for like 100 ml. This is way more expensive. The performance is slightly better. I think it sits close to the skin, and I think that's what it's designed to do. But I would really love to see an intense version of this. If that's coming, that would be great. I think that would really, really redeem the merits of this fragrance because I actually really like the way this smells. I just am wanting a little bit more performance out of it. That's all. A little bit more projection as well. So yeah, Andres, if you're listening, please. How do you say that in Spanish? Please. Come on, Google. Please in Spanish. Por favor. Okay. I totally forgot. I used to watch Mind Your Language and I learnt it from there. Remember that old show? Anyway, that's the first one. The next one we've got... Whoa, reach down in my bag of goodies. All right. Next one we've got is Sultan Vetiver by Nishane. I got this recently, and you might be thinking, really? For springtime? Yes. Trust me. And hang with me here. There's a ton of vetiver in here. Like it's vetiver upon vetiver, different kinds of vetiver. The top note of vetiver that they've got in here smells like a pungent wardrobe, like a wardrobe that's been made out of, slabs of wood or chipboard that has had veneer glued onto it. And it's the glue smell, which is the citrus, and then the wood smell, which is the vetiver, right? The woodiness of the vetiver in the opening. But you got to give it some time. You got to maybe like 10-15 minutes for it to sort of start drying down. And when it does, it becomes unbelievably addictive to smell upon you. You'd be smelling yourself all the time, and it projects and it performs quite well. And I absolutely think that it's perfect scent for springtime. I, however, do not see, there's neroli and tonka bean in here, it says in the note listing. And if it's the combination of both of those that sort of make it smell like tuberose, which is what I smell, because there's like a little bit of a bubblegumminess going on in the sillage. And I swear to God, there's got to be some kind of tuberose in here. Otherwise, it's got to be the neroli and the tonka sort of meshing into each other and creating this bubblegum sort of effect, which works beautifully with the Vetiver as well. I think it's a great scent for springtime. A beast mode scent, should I say that? Yeah, it's a beast mode Vetiver scent. I love Vetiver anyway. Vetiver for springtime. Vetiver for all the time. All right, the next one here is another Vetiver fragrance. This one is called Vetiver, simply, by Roja by Roja Parfums. It's the Vetiver Parfum Cologne. This is my third favorite Vetiver fragrance of all time. The first one being the Parfum version of this. Now, the reason why I love the Parfum version of this over this one is because this one's also got some floral elements in it. Like this is a day and night fragrance, basically. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of fragrance because you smell it from the cap. You're like, oh, nice, bright, sparkling citruses, sweet, and some florals. And you spray it on, and then within like an hour, all that stuff disappears, and you're left with this woody, smoky sort of vetiver, akin to more like a sycamore or like a, what's that Lalique one? Encre Noir, that kind of vetiver without the ink, right? It goes in that direction, but everything is so well blended, high quality, and it's just beautifully done, right? That's what you pay for. That's the nose that drives you towards Roja. When your nose develops to a point where you can actually go, yes, I can see what he's been trying to do here. He actually smells, and some people go, oh, you know, Tom Ford's Grey Vetiver smells like this, but it doesn't smell as woody and smoky, so it doesn't rest on that. And they say, oh, Guerlain's Vetiver smells like this. Yes, it's very similar. But I can sense that Roja, who used to work at Guerlain for a long time, would have been familiar with Guerlain's Vetiver fragrance and thought about it and thought, how can I make this in the spirit of what it really should have been, with modern techniques and the highest quality fragrance oils? And that's what he did. That's what he did. If I could, I'd have the Parfum version of this, and only because I like the florals in that one. It really gives it a nice edge, a softer edge, which I prefer. But this is no slouch, as a matter of fact. And I think for the money, it's probably a better bang for buck because, like, it doesn't last too long, but it gives you so many facets. So I'd probably say this will be a nice afternoon, spring afternoon sort of fragrance because you put it on in the afternoon and it's bright and sparkly up top for a few hours, and then it dries down to that woody, smoky base. So when it's nighttime and evening time, you're set. It's changing with the day. It's changing with the weather, and it's probably changing with your demeanor as well. So there you go. Roja Parfums Vetiver. The next one I've got is Moss Cologne by Bortnikoff, and this is actually my scent of the day today. As you can see, it's a beautiful sunny day out, and I've got a nice white shirt on with some ripped jeans, which all of my jeans are ripped. That's right, I have really muscular knees. Anyway, this is full of oak moss, and I don't know how they've done it, but I don't know how he's done it, but he's done it, and he's just made it seem so beautiful. So the citrus is up top, and if you've ever smelled citruses, like a Italian sort of citrus, like a Zojoff or something, it's very crisp, it's very direct. The citrus is up the top here, like you've got like sweet orange and grapefruit and bergamot as well, and lemon. They're very rounded. Right? They're not completely super citric. They're very rounded. They're very balanced as well because you've got that floral element of champaca, which I think I'm starting to really like. There's a love and hate line, and I'm moving towards the love line for champaca. And of course, a ton of oak moss, and it's helped out by a little bit of saltiness from an ambergris that's in the base here as well. Projects for a little bit, but then it sits close to the skin for quite a while. And I do like this one because it has great sillage. Because if you're moving around, you can smell it in the air. You know, it's not hugely projecting, but it's got sillage. So that's what I like about this one. And of course, the smell. It's fantastic for spring. Moss Cologne by Bortnikoff. Okay, the next one, I think this is the second last one, is, of course, no surprise, this is Himalaya by Creed, and this absolutely love. And this is probably more, actually no, this is actually perfect for any time in spring, for any kind of springtime day, from the cold morning to a warmer afternoon or evening. This, I think, is phenomenal. It's one of the best and I'm happy with this. It's great. There's bergamot, there's grapefruit, lemon, sandalwood in the middle, which I don't really detect too much of. Apparently there's sandalwood in the middle, but it actually rests on some cedar, but not a freshly sawn cedar. It's like the dried bark of a cedar tree or something like that is what it smells like. Musk, which is there in spades, and the Creed ambergris. You can't go wrong with the Creed ambergris. They do it really well. I think there's been so many people that have talked about this. I think actually, no, in terms of Creed, it doesn't really get as much play as things like Silver Mountain Water or Aventus or anything like that. So here I am, giving it a little bit of love. Himalaya by Creed. And the last one in this list of 12 spring fragrances, emergency fragrance review, is one by Clive Christian. Let's not forget Clive, old Clive. Let's show Clive some love. This one is from the Noble collection. It is called Vanilla Orchid. Now, this is probably a little bit more feminine leaning than the rest of the lineup, but trust me, you've not smelled anything like this before. It's a green vanilla. A green vanilla. There's vanilla, but there's the greenness. If you've ever smelled anything like galbanum or galbanum fragrances, galbanum gives you this imagery of green, and it's usually quite sharp. Galbanum, if you think about Chanel's number 19 Eau de Toilette, that's galbanum heavy. Comme des Garçons Copper, that's galbanum heavy. I kind of like galbanum, but in this one, it's tamed. It's sort of tempered by the vanilla that's in the base here. And on the periphery, there's things like hyacinth and orchid, but vanilla orchid. There's lily of the valley in here as well, which I do smell. And for a while there, when I actually had this on, it smelled to me like, I don't know, it's not a very popular scent, but it's called Clochettes de Bonheur by Roja Dove. And it's in the Pierre de Velay collection, I think. And I absolutely I love that scent. Absolutely love it. It's just the cleanest lily of the valley, green sort of floral scent. Fuck off, nature. Fuck off, nature. I'm in the backyard doing a video, mate. Some manners. All right. What was I saying? Oh, yes. It's the lily of the valley, greenish, floral, beautiful scent. You could wear it in high humidity and high heat. And that's got a little bit of this. There's a little bit of that in this as well. However, this does transform a bit. Like the opening is like this green sort of flower garden, or freshly cut flowers or something like that. And then it goes into the mids where it's got some florals, like the lily of the valley comes in, and the orchid comes into it as well to make it like it goes a bit feminine in the mid. But in the dry down, when it hits the vanilla and the green elements are still there, it just does wonders. It's fantastic. So the dry down is fantastic. The opening is fantastic. The mids are a little bit challenging to men. I'd have to say that. I'll admit that. But it's worth a try. And if you can't find a decant of this, which I recommend you get because these are not cheap bottles of fragrance, right? Okay, these are 50 mils and they're very expensive. They're more expensive than the regular Clive Christian fragrances because they're in this Noble collection. But anyway, if you can find a decant of this, I'd recommend to give it a sniff because it's certainly very different. You may have seen the notes before on the note listing, but together they smell like completely different. Always impressed by this house, as a matter of fact. Quality is top notch, and the performance of this one is actually really good as well. So there you have it. That was 12 fragrances for springtime. 6 designer cheapies, designers and cheapies, and 6 niche and expensive, of course. Yeah, that's been my emergency fragrance review. Hope you've enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for watching.